Well, good morning. Trucker Todd here, and time for another video. All right, folks, it's been a while since we done one of these. I'm sitting here in Georgia, and as you guys know, the belt went out on my APU. It's a weekend, kind of having trouble getting a belt. So I'm having to idle a lot. And so it brought up a question that I get asked a lot about EPUs, APUs, other idle management systems, even just idling your truck. So in this video, I'm going to discuss some of the more common options that are available to you. I'll start with the cheapest one and work my way up to the most expensive one, and kind of talk to you about some of the good and bad about each of them. But before I do that, why don't you do something good? Give me a thumbs up. Share this video on your social media platforms, and make sure you're subscribed. It's free to do, and that way you receive notifications when future videos come out. As you guys know, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we do a live show at 5 p.m. Central Time. You'll receive a notification for that, and I hope you'll join us for those as well. So it's been a while since we played the music. Let's fire up the music and get into today's subject. Here we go.
And this is why I do this, why I'm out here, why I keep that hammer down, flying by these road signs with home on my mind, with these wheels turning round, for my family and for my kids, for this life I wanna live. This is why I do this.
Alrighty, we're back. So let's not waste any time. Let's jump right in. The very cheapest option, at least initially up front, is just to idle your truck. So what's wrong with idling your truck? Well, you're going to burn between 3/4 of a gallon and a gallon an hour, somewhere in that area. And it's hard on your truck, especially with these new emission systems. It's really, really tough on your truck. But it is the cheapest option, as there's no additional cost when you order your truck to just be able to idle. Also, there's a lot of areas in the country where idling is not allowed. Now, they do have some provisions in there if you're using a medical device such as a CPAP machine, or if you've got a pet on board or things like that. Again, I'm not a lawyer or an officer of the court, but I can tell you that in most places there are exemptions, and you just need to find out in the area you're in what the exemptions are for idling your truck. Okay, the next option, which is a little better, and also to get it on your truck is a little cheaper. And that, of course, would be an idle management system, OptiIdle, something along that lines. Basically what it does is you turn your truck off, you set the temperature thing in the back to your desired temperature, and the truck turns on and off during the night or day whenever you're sleeping, to maintain within a few degrees of that temperature. Works pretty good. Some problems with it, obviously. You're going to have increased wear and tear on your batteries. Some people can't sleep when the truck cranks on its own. Obviously, you're still burning diesel at a rate of 3/4 to a gallon an hour. And but it is slightly more efficient than just idling your truck. Not even slightly. I'd call it moderately more efficient than just straight idling. Okay, the next option would be an EPU, which is an electric power unit. Typically, the way these work is they put a slightly larger, sorry, I'm having to adjust my camera. They put a slightly larger alternator on your truck, and they install 4 batteries. And the truck runs an APU type system off of an electrical setup. Now, there's been a few problems with these. I like them personally, but they have had some electrical fires. And there's also the problem of how long do they last? They still have to crank when your batteries get low, and you know, cold weather, they're not going to be as effective as they are in warmer weather. Extreme hot weather does not make them well either, or does not bode well for them either. And so you've got a situation where the batteries are more expensive. They're usually a gel type battery, which are slower to discharge and last a little longer between charges. But typically somewhere in the 4 to 8 hour range, your truck is still going to have to crank and charge for 20 or 30 minutes to build these batteries back up. It's a little more, well, it's significantly more expensive than an idle management system like we discussed prior, but still significantly cheaper than an APU. A lot of companies are going to that for this reason, and like I said, your results will vary based on what condition your batteries are in. Obviously, batteries deteriorate over time, and it's going to be costly when you have to replace those 4 gel batteries. Also, that larger alternator they put on there is more expensive than what your standard alternator is when they have to replace it. And so obviously the benefits is for that 4 to 8 hours. Even if you're running the air, it's quiet, it's peaceful. But for those of you that can't sleep when the truck engine starts, you're still going to have that problem. Now, the most expensive option, and in a lot of people's opinion, the best option, would be an APU. But the APU is not without its downsides. And so we're going to talk about that now. There's multiple manufacturers, and you'd have to do your research and see which one's the best for you. I have the most experience in APUs with the Thermo King models, and so that's what I'm going to speak specifically about in this video. APU stands for Auxiliary Power Unit, and basically it's a small diesel engine that's mounted on your truck, and it provides heating and air and electrical power. It is quieter than idling your truck. A lot of people are able to sleep better with it once they get used to it, but it's not without its problems. I have a problem with them chewing up belts, and every truck I've had that's had an APU, it chews up the belts, and you got to get the belts replaced. And your TAs and your loves used to want to work on them, and now they don't. The last one I had, and this is all the way back in 2014, had a plastic pulley that was terrible about chewing up belts. And I asked Thermo King, I said, why don't y'all make a metal pulley? It'd be so much better. And I never really got a straight answer. But anyway, of course, being a diesel engine, it's going to have services. You're going to have to replace filters and oil and things like that, do oil changes, things like that. So there is added maintenance. While the regular diesel engine uses 3/4 of a gallon to a gallon of fuel per hour, APUs use about a gallon every 8 hours. So they are significantly more efficient, and but they're not without their problems. They're going to have, as I mentioned, maintenance. They're going to break down, and so you're going to have some added expense there. Also, most of them range in price from about $10,000 to about $15,000, depending on what you get, where you get it, things like that. So it's not a cheap investment. It's my belief that the reason a lot of companies have gone away from using APUs is that the drivers in their trucks don't take care of them, and it can be a costly deal if they're not well taken care of. You guys know that when I was at Swift, did a kind of a pilot program on a couple of trucks where they tested APUs to see kind of a cost-benefit analysis, and it was their determination that the savings over what a idle management system were not significant enough to warrant putting them on their trucks. I suggested that maybe they just put them as an option on owner-operator trucks and let the owner-operator pay a little more for the installation and everything, because an APU can save you $1,100-1,200 a month in fuel. When you figure the average driver is going to idle anywhere from 10 to 12 hours a day, because remember, you're driving 11, it's a lot of fuel being burnt. 10 or 11 gallons a day on a 30-day month, it's 300 gallons, $3 a gallon, you're talking $900. But a lot of guys are paying more than $3 a gallon right now. And so that's where you get in that $1,000 to $1,300 range of fuel savings. And even if you took half of that away for maintenance and repairs, you're still saving $500 or $600 a month. So all in all, I'm glad I've got my APU. I learned to manage with that idle management system, the OptiIdle that I've had on my Freightliner. But it is nice to have an APU again. I've got wall plugins just like a house, and it really is a nice setup. But right now, like I said, it's not working, and so I'm having to idle, and it's definitely a priority to get it fixed. I've wasted a lot of fuel the last few days just because it didn't work, and I couldn't find nobody to sell me the belt or work on it. It looks like the belt's pretty easy to replace. And so if I can find the belt, I may just do it myself. But anyway, I'm rambling now. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this video up. I thank y'all for joining me on this opinion piece, and we'll catch you on the next video. Y'all take care. Bye-bye.